One short year in a long-term project. 12 months of telling the Detroit tale. Dozens of dreams, scores of stories, and hundreds of people coming together.
This makes our day.
Tonight, we look back at the first year of Detroit 2020 and show you what a difference a year makes. You were along for the journey. So join us now for Detroit 2020, a year into the future.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. You know, when we started Detroit 2020, we had no idea how this whole thing would evolve. But one thing we did know for sure is that we truly wanted to make a difference.
And that didn't mean just telling good news stories, because there are serious challenges that need to be met.
So we got to work researching the issues and looking for solutions. And along the way, we learned more about our region and you, our neighbors.
Together, we rolled up our sleeves to unify, inspire, and act, and we continue to look ahead to Detroit 2020.
For months before the launch of Detroit 2020, we asked political leaders, community activists, and people on the street about the things that were most important to them.
And you know, Stephen, their answers really didn't surprise us, but it quickly became clear the move to revitalize Detroit must begin now.
What do people care about? Things like transportation.
We are a disconnected region.
Education.
If the educational system is not together, then I don't see any hope for that area.
Land use.
I see a lot of the vacant sites having infill development.
And cooperation between the city and its suburbs.
How can your success benefit me, and how can my success benefit you?
These were just a few of the important issues we identified going in. Over the course of a year, we shared more than 100 stories about our region. We learned the challenges remain, but progress has been made. What a difference a year can make.
I think that 2011 is going to be the year that we look back on 5-10 years from now and say, this is the year that Detroit got its game on.
As the year began, we told you about a new incentive program to get people to move to Midtown. Wayne State University, Henry Ford Health Systems, and Detroit Medical Center all pitched in. The program was so successful that within a few months, the money was just about gone, and so was available housing.
I represented 3 developments last year, and now 2 of them are sold out.
We also told you about Mayor Dave Bing's Detroit Works project. It was supposed to be a strategy to right-size the city. Citizens were invited to town hall meetings.
We cannot have anybody on the sidelines just watching the process. They must be engaged in the process.
But the initiative itself appears to have been sidelined as other issues take priority. Last month, the mayor outlined his plan to get the buses rolling, the lights working, and the deficit handled. Detroit 2020 provided a forum for reaction to that plan.
Last winter, we took a look at the new Detroit Riverwalk. We told you volunteer ambassadors were needed to introduce others to the area, and many of you responded.
We've had, particularly in light of the last Detroit 2020, we've had an outpouring of support.
A new plan to finance a second Detroit-Windsor bridge was one of the highlights of the governor's State of the State speech in January. The owners of the current bridge launched a massive ad campaign.
Is there a need for another crossing across the Detroit River?
At the moment, no, and in the foreseeable future, no.
And less than a year after the governor's announcement, the legislature killed the bridge bill. But Governor Snyder isn't giving up. This is a story that could follow us into 2012.
Council President Pro Tem Brown.
This year, we told you about another issue that was important to so many Detroiters, the election of city council members by district.
I think they'll be more accountable. They can have more contact with the community.
In November, voters approved a new charter that calls for council members to be elected by district.
One thing that we watched change is attitude. There seems to be a growing optimism in Detroit.
There is a buzz and an excitement now that we've never seen before.
That's as important as anything else in defining Detroit 2020.
In March, we invited you to share your optimism and your concerns with Governor Rick Snyder and Detroit Mayor Dave Bing.
More than 800 responded by email, and hundreds more took part in our live web chat during our first Detroit 2020 Interactive Special.
Good evening and welcome to this groundbreaking event. Mayor Bing, Governor Snyder, thank you so very much for joining us.
It was a wide-ranging discussion, with our viewers as part of the panel. Stephen and Carolyn sorted out the questions you emailed us. We received questions from I profiled some of the people who shared their real concerns.
But another question we got, and I moderated a very busy web chat that went on long after the broadcast. Most of your questions dealt with financial matters.
Pension cuts, as you might understand, the biggest concern. 22% of all that email is talking about pension cuts.
The governor explained his position.
This is a difficult issue, but we are in a crisis.
And after battles in the legislature and the Michigan Supreme Court, the tax on pensions goes into effect in 2012. Another question, which today takes on even more importance, was about emergency financial managers.
All right, Mr. Bing, we have a follow-up question here I found, and I find this rather fascinating. Are you concerned, Mayor, that Governor Snyder will remove you from office and appoint an EFM given the city's current fiscal situation? Wow.
No, I'm not concerned about that. My focus every day that I go into my office is do everything within our power and our control to ensure that we don't have to have an emergency financial manager to come in.
Tough times, real answers. Just the first in a series of Detroit 2020 conversations.
We all know the challenges facing Detroit schools are well documented, but there are some bright spots. Enrollment is up, and mentoring is helping kids stay on track.
Dad will wrap the gift.
Way to go, Tara! Way to go! Man Elementary is a success story. It's one of the best schools in our state. The secret? Students and teachers who are fully engaged, and parents who are involved in their kids' education.
Come on out. She's waiting for you down there. Good morning.
Our Detroit 2020 special, Class Acts, showed how volunteers at Man and around the area are making a difference in the lives of our kids. It's caring. It's dedication.
You went from a C to an A?
Uh-huh. It is a calling. We also looked at charter schools.
Our average class size here is about 19 students.
And how they stack up against traditional public schools. We listened to both sides of the argument. When a fire destroyed the Paul Robeson Malcolm X Academy in May, Detroit 2020 decided to do something special for the students and staff after they were moved to a temporary school. We teamed up with community partners to get them notebooks, markers, and other school supplies.
We wanted to give you a $1,000 gift card as well, so that you'll be able to come to any of the Staples stores to be able to purchase supplies for the children, for the administration after the
Thank you so much.
But for Detroit 2020 to come and garner support, that was something that just really meant a lot.
The building that burned will not be rebuilt. The students are in a new location several blocks away in the former Halley School. We wanted to see how they're doing now.
Believe it or not, the children adjusted better than we did, better than the adults did. To tell me, you know, well, we're going to make the best of this, Dr. Robinson, it meant a lot to me. And that's sort of been the spirit that's been driving us so far.
Thank you. And you know, Stephen, over the past year, we sat down with some of the biggest names in town to do Detroit 2020 interviews.
Leaders in business, government, and education. The man behind this sparkling headquarters of CompuWare in downtown Detroit is Peter Carmanos. He was one of the first to move downtown, and he's bullish on Detroit. Would you encourage other businesses to come into Detroit?
Always. Always. It's a wonderful place to do business.
Dan Gilbert is doing a lot of business in Detroit. The chairman and founder of Quicken Loans is buying up buildings downtown and moving his employees from the suburbs to the city.
Well, I think something very special is going on down here right now, and those of us who are down here feel it and know it, and the people who are not here maybe are starting to hear a little bit about it.
Robert Bobb had his supporters and his vocal detractors as the emergency financial manager of the Detroit Public Schools. He told us he'll always defend Detroit and that he admired the passion of the people.
The citizens that I've come in contact with, good or bad, really care passionately about their city.
We have to make a difference.
Roy Roberts replaced Bob. He joined Mayor Dave Bing in a Detroit 2020 interview with a vow.
I'm going to work with every fiber in my body to educate little kids in this city because I was one of them once upon a time. And education is what turned my dream into reality.
Come on board and help us do what you can do to make this city and make the education system better for all of our kids.
And Governor Rick Snyder told me Michigan is headed in the right direction. What is your vision of Detroit/Michigan in the year 2020?
Yeah, it's for a reinvented Michigan, a reinvented Detroit. We're both going to be on the path to a major comeback, and it's going to be about innovation and entrepreneurship.
Next on our Detroit 2020 special, how the Detroit area's diversity has shaped and divided our community.
And a look at two events that brought us together and showed how we can act and make a real difference.